So now that the boat is all fiberglass and waterproof, it's time to start drilling holes in the boat.
The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my single-handed ocean voyages. She's small, light, but easy to build, and strong enough to cross any ocean.
My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. So this week it's all about figuring out where do all the items go, such as the port lights, rope organizer, there's quite a few cleats that need to be figured out, and our fresh air ventilation. So all of them are going to need backing plates. And why do they need a backing plate? And a backing plate, by the way, is nothing more than an extra layer of the 3/8 marine ply. And why do we need that? We need that extra structure because we're going to be bolting all these items on. We'll be putting fender washers on the backside and probably a nut or an acorn nut. Anyway, there's a lot to do. Time to crack on. Okay, so we're just getting ready to start installing these backing plates, and there's a lot of them. It's not just the ports, but also on the hatch here. And I'll just turn this over so you can see what we're about to do. So on the hatch itself, there's going to be a great big fresh air vent right here. There will be a handle to open the hatch with at this point. And up here, we're going to have just a little port light to let light in. So, and over here, we've got a repair to make. That was a screw that snapped off on me during the dry fit, and it was a real pain to get it out, but it's out now, so I'll fill that, and we'll be able to drill a hole for the screw again after. So I may not be able to capture the actual installation of these, but I'll show you what it looks like when we wet them out. So we've wetted out these the backing plates, and as you can see, there's no need to wet out the center because we'll be cutting that out at a later date to let the light in, of course. And we've got these areas all wetted out. Now I'm just going to take you onto Wave Rover, and I'll show you. It's actually a hot day. It's about 15 degrees. Which is the hottest day of the year so far for us. So this is what it looks like. This is where we'll be putting these blanks. So I've got a nice port light on the aft bulkhead, and then we have 3 on each side. There's another one forward of bulkhead 5. And of course the boat is symmetrical, so we've got the same thing happening over on the port side. All right, back in to help mix up some glue now. So I've pre-marked these, I've pre-drilled them, I've got a little arrow pointing this direction. So now just give that a little press. Okay, and that's all it really takes is just that one screw because we've got good gap filling ability with this glue. All right, and then it's just repeat on all the rest of them. So all the backing plates are installed now, and it's a pretty nice job. I put a little fillet all the way around, and same on the port lights inside the boat. And I'll just show you what's happening here. So right here, this big circle, this is for one of these vents. They're called air-only ventilators. They're really cool, but I'm not going to get into them right now. I'll explain all that when I do the install, which won't happen for a while. But there's two more of these going on the boat, and one will go right here, more or less, and another one on the port side. So those are two backing plates that I'll be working on this morning. And then the third backing plate is for this rope organizer. Now this is a bit of a challenge because I didn't anticipate a little issue here, which is I've set up these little blocks where the mast step will be, and or the mast deck fitting will be, and that's the height that the blocks will be coming off of the deck right there. Let me just get my... And then when they go through the rope organizer, they're going to be sawing through my cabin top. So I have a couple of options. One is I can put extra shackles on the blocks and get them a little higher up, and that'll give me a little bit of height over the cabin top. But I also had these little pieces of starboard laying around, so I just cut this one, and my plan is to mount it like that. And when I do that, you'll have to trust me, because if I let go, it'll fall. If I do that, I get about a little over a 1/4 inch clearance over the cabin top. Between that and the shackles should get me maybe 3/8 of an inch clearance, and that'll be good. The next problem is I need fasteners that will get through here, and I think machine screws, so this is a 3-inch machine screw. It fits in, and it just gives me the clearance to go through the block, the starboard, and 3/4 of an inch. So that's the cabin top, which is 3/8, plus a backing plate, which is another 3/8. And I just have enough length on that bolt to get an acorn nut and a washer on. So that's going to be the next backing plate. So I've got 3 now that I can work on: the 2 vents and this rope organizer. Okay, so we're inside Wave Rover right now, and on the port side right here, this is where we're going to have the galley. And because we're having the galley, you have to use your imagination here for a moment. I will have what will be a stylized sink here. Stylized, I'll explain that in a later episode. And over here we'll have the single burner or Rigno alcohol stove. So I want to have ventilation here, and right up in this grid right here, we're going to put one of those air-only vents. But at this point, you can see the backing plates for the ports, so that's kind of nice. You know, we'll have, and it's symmetrical on each side. All right, so I'm going to pass the camera off right now to Mrs. Rover, and she's just going to film me doing the fit out for the backing plate of the air-only vent. So I've cut this to 8 inches, I believe. It's wide enough that I'll be able to put the screws in. And I'm just going to center this. And the key on these is to make sure the holes line up right. So put the right fit in. Right, so I'll skew it a little bit to the side, closer to where the stove will be. That looks pretty good right there. So we've just made a hole through the cabin top. Now, I'll grab one of those screws too. So now I want to make a bigger hole just in this backing plate. And we don't have to worry because a great big circle is going to get cut out of this for the vent. Now the trick is to line the screw up with the hole. Okay. There we go. Now, just to help me when we go to do our glue up, I'm just going to put a line all the way around this. And right now it's nice and tight all the way around. The cabin top doesn't have, I mean, it has curve to it, but not so much that you can see any gaps. But we're going to be using thickened epoxy anyway, so it would have the tiny 64th of an inch gap that you might have right there will fill up. And then of course we'll do a fillet all the way around, just like we've done on all the backing plates. All right, so I'm just going to take this down now, wet it out, glue it up. Okay, so we've got our glue spread out on this. It's been wetted out. This surface has been wetted out. And by having this pre-drilled and having the lines drawn just makes it so much easier to get this screw started. Now I've got a nice squeeze out all the way around. That's what we like to see. But at this point, now I'll clean it up. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm making a little compass. You've seen me do this before, so this will be like my base hole. This will be what we'll turn on, and this little hole here and this little hole here, well, the farthest one is 4.5 inches, so that gives us a diameter of 9 inches, which is the big ports that'll be here and here, and then the inner hole is 1 inch smaller, and that will be where the actual port is being cut. So I just want to mark those right now. Okay, so I've got my compass made right now, and if you remember from earlier on, what we were doing is we had one screw holding the backing plates in place. Well, and I drilled right through the side of the boat, so I've got this hole right here. I've got a hole, and that's a center hole. So it's just a matter now of screwing in this side. Okay, that's good. And then just using our holes here with the pencil. And then my inner hole. And that is what our port looks like. So we'll have our piece of plexiglass go on here, and then of course I'll have to drill. I have 5 fasteners that'll be holding each piece of plexi on. So I really want to cut this out right now, and it'll let light into the boat, and that'll be great, but I'm not going to do it right now because we have to do some S1 work inside the boat, and that's going to take a few days, but I will get all these marked and cut them just as soon as possible. Well, Rovers, I am really eager to cut these openings and really get, a visual of what the port lights will look like on Wave Rover, but I can't. I can't because we've had another sort of turn in the weather. It's early May. It's May 7th, and the temperature is fluctuating quite a bit. We have to S1 a number of areas inside the boat, and we need high temperatures. They recommend 16 to 20 degrees, and we don't have that anywhere near that outside. So I can't cut these holes until we finish that S1. And what is S1? S1 is a penetrating epoxy that will seal the wood. We're not doing the whole boat, just certain areas at this point. We'll do the rest of the boat later. Anyway, Rovers, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure.
Well, the Wave Rover patrons, with their pledges of support, really do make the creation of these videos possible. Now, if you'd like to know more about Wave Rover's patron page and Benefactors Bulkhead, I have links to both those pages in the video description. Now, another way to help Wave Rover, and it doesn't cost you a dime, is by sharing our content on your social media. So now, as always, Rovers, thanks for watching.
Give us one more.